Hello, everyone. Come with me as I show you what grief really feels like from someone who's lived it. I'll be taking you on a 5-part series where I'll share very valuable lessons I have learned through grief. Join me. Today, I'm going to be taking you on lesson number 1. And lesson number 1 is this: God does not hate you. Most of the time, the easiest question people ask while they are grieving is, God, why me? Now, let me tell you something. You know how people usually have premonitions, or maybe like their instincts strongly telling them of an impending tragedy before the loss of a loved one? I never had any of those. One of the things I just basically knew that happened to me is that 1 week before the death of my husband, I was badly depressed. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to socialize. I was just zoned out completely. And on the very Sunday my husband was going to die, I woke up on that morning still very much in my emotions. But I clearly had a voice ask me, if you feel this bad, where would you rather be? And that was when I mustered the remaining courage I had, and I decided to go to church that Sunday. If any of you can check the message that Apostle Femi Lazarus preached on the 12th of May 2024, please do so. I think the message was posted on Spotify on the 13th of May 2024. He preached about the root of bitterness. And that very day, I cried in church, we prayed. And by the time I left church, I was so at peace that I came back home and I slept for 3 hours straight. When I woke up from my sleep, I got a call from Dorcas Sambo. When Dorcas called me, she was like, "Sis, where are you?" I told her I was at home, and she told me she was already coming to my house. Mind you, at this point, my husband had passed. They came to my house and they met me very high in spirit. I was very jovial as usual, trying to crack up some lame jokes. But I noticed they were not having any of it. Dorcas just kept staring at me blankly. And at a point I asked her, I said, "Is there anything wrong with you?" And she said, "No, there's nothing. I just came to see you." I think after a while, they both decided they were not the right persons to break the news to me. And so they decided to leave abruptly. It was after they left, I went back home and I wanted to fast. So I told my children that I wanted to sort their meals for the next 3 days because I was going to fast. My reason was that I did not know where that depression came from and I needed to stay out of it. I wanted to seal whatever God had started with me with prayers and some level of devotion also to Him. So immediately I finished eating, I had barely dropped my cup when the phone call came in. And by the phone call, you know what I mean, the call that will eventually tell me of what had happened. Why am I taking you through this background? Let me tell you that even when I was eating, I ate, and then because I was going to fast, my daughter was telling me that we needed to fast for 3 days and we're not going to break. I decided to dish more food and I ate. Why did it wait until I had eaten? Why did I have to hear that message on that day? Then, not only did it stop there, immediately I had this news, I remembered running out. And I was really sad because I felt like I had cut off almost everybody that cared for me. And I was going to be alone because that was the first thing I cried about. I was like, "Nelly, you don't have people. How are you going to walk this walk?" Because I know that many of the times, in the cases of widows that have visited or have been privy to be close to, I noticed that they have people around them. And it just occurred to me in that moment that, Nelly, yours is going to be bad. How will you manage this? I didn't have people. And I clearly heard God whisper to me in that situation. And He said, "You will never walk alone." Let me tell you the truth. If you pay attention to your pain, you will not hear God's word. I read this somewhere that somebody said that when the cloud is dark, you will not know who is sitting next to you. Yes, grief casts a dark cloud over you and makes you not to see who is sitting next to you. But did you forget that God said He will never leave you nor forsake you? So no matter what you are going through, God does not hate you. And especially in grief, remember this, that God does not hate you. And if you're going through grief, it is because grief is a part of human journey. It is not because God hates you. And that is why in the midst of your grief, you will find out that God is reaching out to you. I'd like to tell you that that did not end. In my own case, I even still prayed because I was now scared after it was settled to me that my husband had passed. I was scared because I've had a lot of very terrible widowhood stories. And I was like, God, I can't even imagine having to combine the pain of the loss I was feeling with any other animosity that awaited. And I bent down again and I prayed to God and I said, to show me that you love me, Father, go with me. Let me go bury my husband and come back peacefully without any trouble. And for those who came, they would know that yes, my husband's burial went peacefully. There were many ways the devil wanted to stare his ugly head, but I would want to stand boldly and tell you that God stilled every storm for my sake. So I want you to understand this strongly, that God does not hate you. You are only going through grief because it is a part of human journey. The Bible tells us that so long as the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest time will never cease. And this goes to say that giving birth and death will not end. So one way or the other, we're going to at some point grieve the loss of a loved one. But that doesn't mean that God hates you. Thank you. See you on the next one.